Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty One territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty Three territory. My name is Ian Van, and I'm joined on the panel today by Zoom with Mr. Ken Seelan and Ms. Linda Schultz. The Assessment Department personnel here in person is Mr. Jamie Fougere, and the administrative personnel is Ms. Twinkle Sharma. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. Matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize should they so wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all the applications have been heard. The board will then deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 4 through 8 on our docket today. Ms. Sharma, will you please affirm both the assessors and the applicant's testimony?
For sure. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jamie Fougere.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to provide at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Carry your forever.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to provide at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Fougere, I'd ask that we turn to number 4 on the docket today, and I understand from discussions prior to the meeting opening that there will be recommendations for these. They are not included in the materials that we have, so I would ask that you introduce the property, go through the assessed value, the split of taxation or taxable class codes where appropriate, and then we'll deal with questions. Okay,
Perfect.
so we can go to the first item at 225 Vermilion Road, please.
Yeah, and just before we get started, just to be clear, I did send a document with the recommendations. If you have that, you can follow along.
Oh, sorry, I see it now, yes. A&T recommendations, okay, I have it now, yes, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay,
So the first one there that we have is 225 Vermilion Road.
can I just interrupt for one moment, please? Ms. Schultz, Mr. Seelan, have you got the recommendation document as well?
I'm just looking for it.
Just looking, hang on a second.
Thank you.
I had to refresh the
Okay,
the document.
okay.
So make sure we're all on the same virtual page at least.
Recommendations, yes, I've got mine.
Mr. Seelan?
Just looking here. I don't see it just yet.
And this is on all the properties.
Thank you, I have them.
Okay, great, thank you, Mr. Fougere. Then if you can continue, please.
Sure. So 225 Vermilion Road, is the first property we're gonna speak about. The roll number is 060076666600. And the original assessed value has a class code 40 and is exempt. And the assessed value is 2,172,000 for the class 40 exempt portion. And then 13,866,000 for the class code 60 other, which is taxable. And on the second page of my brief, if you wanted to get a sense of the property at hand, on page 2 we have the overhead photography, and on page 3 you have Google Street View level photography. Now, if you want to turn to the recommendations document that I had sent, the first and second page are going to relate to this property, 225 Vermilion Road. On the left-hand side, I've included the original assessment, and then on the right-hand side, I've included the proposed recommendation. You can see, starting at the top, we have one income stream, which is considered neighborhood shopping center, with 25,880 square feet. Here we're proposing using actuals and a 6.5 capitalization rate. So that income stream goes from 9,652,000 to 9,014,000. And then you see part of the next income stream here. This is relating to the Giant Tiger space, considered retail warehouse. And the left-hand side, you see the rental rate for the original assessment of that portion of 1115, and then we've used the actuals here of 1250. And then if you scroll down on the second page, these are the parameters relating to the Giant Tiger space. And here we're proposing changing the capitalization rate from 5.8 to 6.75. And that changes the value for the Giant Tiger space from 4,214,000 to 4,071,000. And then we have the Rainbow Nursery space, which is the 40 class code 40 exempt space. And it was originally at 1851. We've increased that to the actual here of 2250, and the capitalization rate goes from 5.4 to 6.5. And then at the bottom of that, we just have a little summary of the two class codes for the original 2025 and the proposed 2025. So the recommendation totals out to 13,085,000 for the class code 60T portion, and then 2,205,000 for the 40E portion. Thank you.
Mr. Reimer, have you any questions?
I have no questions, and what I can advise the board is that I wasn't able to get instructions, but I will tell the board that I'm in agreement with the suggested revisions that Mr. Fougere has presented. We get there using a little different means, but the final number is the same. So I am in agreement with those recommended values. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, have you any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Mr. Chair, thank you.
I would just like to check my math, Mr. Fougere. So the 60T and the 40E together are 15 million, or total 15,290,000.
I will just pull up the calculator and double check. It sounds approximately right. Uh, 15,290,000.
That's what I had.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you. Then that's all I have. Mr. Reimer, we've heard your comments with respect to that. Do you have any summary to make or anything to add?
No, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Friedere, anything summary?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, then having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter and move on to the next matter, and that is the street address of 2255 Ness Avenue. If you can introduce that property, please, Mr. Friedere.
Sure. So the property is 2255 Ness Avenue. The roll number is 07569136220. And the original assessed value is 5,271,000. And you can see the property that we're going to be referring to on page 2 of my brief. Starting at the top, we have overhead photography. And then we have the Google Street Views. So there's a couple of components I want to point out here. So we have the Co-op gas station on the easternmost side of the property. And then to the rear of the convenience store, attached, there is a car wash. And then beside the gas station there's another building, so to the west. And that was what was left when they've made the renovations to this property to put in the gas station. There was a strip mall, and this is the portion of the strip mall that they saved. And see if I have a better view of it on page 4. No, I don't. You can see it there. There's a spa space and a couple more tenants. And then lastly, there is a fairly large space further to the west that doesn't have any development on it, but there is potential for to expand the site here or the number of buildings. So I just wanted to point those out. Now, if you want to turn to the recommendations document that I have, so this would be on page 3, where my recommendation for 2255 Ness starts. And so similar format to the last one that we just had, I have the original assessment on the left-hand side and proposed recommendation on the right-hand side. And so the first block here that we have, this is the income stream relating to the strip mall. And so you can see we've changed the rental rates to the actuals with $16. And then we've changed the capitalization rate from 6% up to 7%. This is a fairly dated mall. I've been there before, so I feel like the 7% cap rate is warranted for this particular part of the property. Next, we see the stream for the car wash and convenience store. So we've adjusted the rental rate to the actuals for the convenience store. Sorry, before I continue on, I should mention the undeveloped area of the site that I pointed out that could be used for future development. We have that captured. It's just below the capitalization rate for the strip mall. So you can see a value of 380,000. And that's related to the land that's there. And so with the recommendation, that's not changing. I just wanted to point it out in case you were wondering what it was. And then sorry, back to the convenience store and car wash of the co-op there. So I've adjusted the rental rate for the convenience store. We've left the car wash rate the same. And then if you go down to the next page, you can see. Oh, sorry, I went up that page. Let's go down a page. You can see the capitalization rate for the gas bar that we've used here has gone from 6% to 6.5%. And we've left the gas equipment charges the same. So that's the cost of the canopy, the pumps and the tanks for the gas station, valued at $1,512,000. And so the overall, assessed value goes from $5,270,000 to $4,670,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reimer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are in agreement with the suggested revised value of $4,670,000. We do again get there using a different set of parameters, but it ends up at the same number. Thank you.
Mr. Seelan, have you any questions?
No questions, and thank you for all the detail prepared here at the recommendation. That's all.
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions, and we've got the total there, $4,670,000. There's no class code splits. Mr. Reimer, have you anything to add or to summarize with on this property?
Nothing further, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Then, having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter and move on to number 6 on the docket. That is the street address at 1125 Main Street. Mr. Fougere, if you could please introduce that property and provide your evidence.
Sure. So as mentioned, this property is 1125 Main Street. The roll number is 140,999 57700. And we do have a class code split on this one. So I'll read out the portions. The original 2025 assessment for the 40S school tax exempt portion was $9,963,000. Sorry. And the class code 60T taxable portion was $8,241,000, and that totals out to $9,204,000 for the original assessment. And you can see this property on the second page of my brief. You have the aerial photography starting first on page 2 and then at the top of page 3. So you can see there's 3 buildings anchored by the Shoppers Drug Mart. You can see the Google Street View on the bottom of page 3. And then you can see they have a pad site drive-through restaurant here, KFC. And then towards the rear of the property, they have a 2-story suburban office space. And now, if you want to refer to the recommendations document on page 5, we have the recommendation 41125 Main Street. Again, left-hand side is the original assessment, and on the right-hand side is the proposed recommendation. And so we've gone from the modeled rates to the actuals, and made a small adjustment on the capitalization rate from 7.4 to 7.5. That is a modeled, the 7.4 is a modeled capitalization rate. And then below that stream, we have the 40S portion. Just gonna verify that I know what this is relating to.
I can assist Mr. Pujere if you need.
Sure, please.
It's the Academy of Learning Space.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so the Academy of Learning Space, as Mr. Reimer points out, has gone from a rate of $12.40 on the 6,372 square feet to $8.50, which is the actual. And the capitalization rate for that portion has gone from 6 to 6.5. Nope, I'm flipped on the wrong page again. Sorry about that. From 7.4 to 7.5. So matching the capitalization rate for the other stream. So the total between the two streams has gone from 9,204,000. And I'm just going to quickly add these two together. That portion. And the two streams together come out to 8,849,000 for the recommendation. And then I'll just give you those separately as well. The class code 60T is 8,207,000, and the class code 40S is 642,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pujere. Mr. Reimer, questions or comments?
No questions, and I can confirm that we're in agreement with the suggested values presented by Mr. Pujere. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Seelan, any questions?
No questions. Again, thank you for all the detail. Appreciate it.
And I have no questions. Mr. Reimer, anything in addition, comment or summary?
No, thank you.
Thank you. In that case, having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter and move to number 7 on the docket, that being the street address of 791 Layla Avenue. Mr. Fougere, if you can introduce the property, please.
Sure. So the property is 791 Layla Avenue. The roll number is 1105-086-3700. And the original assessed value is 7,926,000. And you can see the property again, starting with the overhead photography on page 2. And continuing on the top of page 3. So these are kind of 2 big box units that have previously gone dark and have been refitted with new tenancy. We have the Yisk and the Planet Fitness there. So those are the 2 big box units at the rear, not the 2 sort of properties that are right up against Leela Avenue. And then if you want to turn to page 7 of my recommendations document, we again have recommendation on the right-hand side and then the original assessment on the left-hand side. We've used actuals here, which we think is fair because they've turned over since their original build with the new tenancy. And we've also adjusted the capitalization rate from 6.15 to 6.75. And so the assessed value would go from $7,926,000 to $6,107,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. Mr. Reimer, have you any questions or comments?
Pardon me, I have no questions, and I can confirm we are in agreement with the suggested value of $6,107,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan, any questions?
No questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
And I don't have any questions. Mr. Reimer, have you any additional evidence or anything to add?
No, thank you.
In that case, we will conclude this matter and move on to the last matter on the docket, that being the street address of 14 Island Shore Boulevard. Mr. Fougere, you can please introduce the property.
Yes.
And there's your class code split on this as well, I see.
Right. So the address, as you say, is 14 Island Shore Boulevard. The roll number is 0600291200. And the original 2025 assessed value has a class code split. The 40 E exempt portion, which we'll see relates to a daycare, is $1,071,000, and the 60T portion, which is the rest of the strip mall here, is $7,817,000. And the total assessed value for 2025 was $8,888,000. And you can see the property on the second page of my brief with the aerial photography to begin with. And so this is just off of Abinogi, Mikana. And you can see we have 3 buildings here. They're all sort of similar style strip malls clustered together. And then you can see page 3, the different Google Street View photography showing you the tenancies with each strip mall there. And then if you want to turn to page 8 of the recommendations document. So starting on page 8, we have Island Shore Boulevard recommendation here. On the left-hand side, we have the original assessment. On the right-hand side, we have the recommendation. And we're starting with the 60T portion. And so we're proposing using the actual rents. Some of the areas have been adjusted. So I don't think I have them, unfortunately, set up on a one-to-one comparison, like in the right order, I should say, for the units. So I do apologize for that. So we've used the actuals and the actual areas reported. So we have a little bit of cleanup to do afterwards for our areas. The capitalization rate, we've gone from 6.15 to 6.75. And that takes the value from $7,805,000 for the 60T portion to $7,558,000 for the 60T portion. And then on the second page, or the last page, if you will, of my recommendations document, We have the daycare space, which has a 40E exemption on it. We've used the actuals here. It is tucked in the corner of the property. And we believe that the rent that's being paid while it is on the low side is indicative of the sort of location within the property. And the capitalization rate also goes from 6.15 to 6.75. And the resulting value for the daycare stream is 600,000. And I'm just going to add these two together to give you a total. And so the total between the two streams is 8,158,000. And the total for the two streams originally was 8,888,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fougere. Mr. Reimer, questions or comments?
I have no questions, and I can confirm we're in agreement with the suggested values proposed by Mr. Fougere. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Mr. Seelan?
No questions, and thank you again for all the detail. Appreciate it.
And I have no questions. Mr. Reimer, have you anything to add? Any evidence to present with respect to this?
Nothing further. Thank you.
In that case, we will conclude this matter, and that will complete the docket for today. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for your both attention to detail and the calculations that you provided. Much appreciated. Mr. Reimer, thank you for your time and your agreements today as well.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Have a good day, guys. Take care.
You too.
Thank you.